Today, I would like to talk about open worlds in video games. It's now a real advantage for a AAA game to be big, realistic and open world. One problem before was the digital stockage of data. You had to partition your worlds, and it was a real challenge to be involved in a video game, something created just for you to have fun, feeling something realistic or coherent, especially when you have to split in fragments your world. But with these constraints, you have to deal at the best for not cutting the immersion experience. A game like Final Fantasy X is a complete masterpiece. Spyra is a fraction world and a real fantastic universe you take part in with the character of Tidus. And with this video game you have multiple subjects treated, the death of people, the injustice, the grief and most importantly the legacy of traditions, respecting the rules even if the rules are cruel or wrong, and breaking the rules and being a renegade to make the truth known to the world, to cure the real sin and make the spiral of death ends. This was a beautiful video games made 22 years ago. Oh, I'm really old now. But this game was also embellished with fantastic music composed by Nobuo Uematsu, a real genius of music, and that's why this theme of Zonokon belongs to the common culture. Lots of FF10 musics are really remarkable. But since this game we had multiple real open world made, great games for them like Assassin's Creed, World of Warcraft, Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5, Skyrim, The Witcher, etc. But for me the quintessence of the recipe of open world is a Nintendo game, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and before the launching of the sequel I'm gonna explain what makes Breath of the Wild a fantastic open world. I played this game for so many hours, more than 100, and sometimes I replay this game with another challenge. Ganon has no secrets to me now. I killed it in the official way and of course without the Guardians. It's not a hard boss and for me the Lynels are terrifying more than Ganon, and each time I killed Ganon I'm feeling how it wasn't hard in comparison with a Lynel. It's quite frustrating, especially when you played in Sekiro just before a real challenge in opposition. But yeah, I played to Breath of the Wild sometimes after a boring cycle of League of Legends. The beginning of Breath of the Wild is actually a tutorial, but well made. You have around 2 minutes of dialogue and you can play. You are directly in the world. You can take your staff and you faces the castle of Hyrule, castle taken by Ganon. You have an objective, a purpose you can see everywhere on the map. It's constantly reminding you your quest. You're exploring where you are and you see an old mentor, someone teaching you the basis, your first quest. Climb a tower, revealing you other towers and most importantly a map. Go defeat the challenge of the 4th Sheikah's temple, win the 4 useful abilities and climb the church. Now you see the old man how he truly is the king of Hyrule. You didn't expect you were facing your king. And now you can explore the rest of Hyrule. You have no predetermined order to accomplish your quest. You can go in a mythical guardian or go directly in the Hyrule castle. You are free to explore, but at least if you explore, you are rewarded. The core of the gameplay is exploration. Unlike Shadow of the Colossus, you can be hit by anything in your travel. You have to stay focused against your opponent, try to survive in a hostile world and you're alone. No help during your entire quest. You have some help from the champions you free from Ganon's will. You win Mipha's Grace, Daruk's Protection, Rivali's Gale and Urbosa's Fury. They are power-ups pretty useful in the game but not necessary to kill Ganon. At least you can even end the game in less than 1 hour, but you have the choice. Okay, climbing tower like in Assassin's Creed is pretty annoying if you have to do that 40 times in a row, especially if your weapons are breakable easily. You can't even repair your stuff, and only 9 hits with a weak weapon on a strong enemy breaks it. It's really unpleasant to have to farm a good stuff. But look at the good point, you have to explore to get it. You can farm some resources which are really interesting for upping your cloth or armors. You can farm like in World of Warcraft in mining, or you can kill a giant monster. Prepare your stuff. Even if you're alone during your exploration, you have some villages and relay. You can rest, cook or trade, and there are sellers, especially this ugly one. When you explore, you still have to find Sheikah's temple. That's how you level up. You don't win XP. You have to accomplish some challenge, battles, enigmas, complete labyrinths, etc. This world you explore is not empty, and there was life long time before your exploration. When you play Link, you are Link. That game is an entire initiatic quest. You feel progress constantly. The game is not hard, but have enough challenges for feeling stronger after hours and hours. The gameplay is not bad at all. You climb, you fight, and it's easy to handle and hard to master. The sound design is really smart. An old sound design reinvented years after years. That's appreciable. Don't forget the musics. They are in Village, in Relay, during the battle, and of course in Hyrule Castle. The emblematic music is a reward for the end of the journey. Every music in this game is good and well placed in this open world, and look at the graphism of this game. Look how fantastic it is. It's in a console less powerful than the iPhone X, and it's so well optimized and runs almost perfectly at 30 FPS. You can see a magnificent kingdom with mountains, plains, lakes, caves, buildings, deserts, ocean, forest. The variety of the kingdom is fantastic. It's well placed logically and naturally. It feels real, more real than the last game of Assassin's Creed for me. It's not necessary to collect items for nothing just for telling us, hey, I'm not empty. Of course you have that with the Korogus nuts, and they give you emplacement for your bag. It's useful, except if you collect all the Korogus nuts, you receive a golden poop. It's the most disrespectful item you can receive just to say to you, look how many times you lost for that. It's an appreciable joke, of course. Finishing the game is every time a complete satisfaction, and I hope the sequel will be as awesome as that. And all of that is what I like in each session of Breath of the Wild I play, the quintessence of the open world video game. This game has been launched in 2017 for the Nintendo Switch opening lineup. To justify the purchase of a Switch, you have to sell game. The lineup was so tiny, but just with this game only, it was a masterpiece. Okay, Breath of the Wild was also in Wii U, but nobody cares of the Wii U. Before Smash Bros. Ultimate, you had Breath of the Wild, the best open world ever made. And EA, Ubisoft and Activision have to understand that carefully.